be an entrepreneur. You don't have to play the video the whole time. That might be distracting. Yeah, I can see everyone's just watching. Amazing demo reels. They're listening to me. But yeah, so I have a video production company, as you can see. We make commercials and corporate videos for different businesses and do it for all kinds of clients, restaurants, tech companies, real estate firms, law firms, professional services, all kinds of things. If any business needs a promotional video, hopefully they come to me and I'll come up with an idea for that video and gather the resources together and bring that video to life, basically. So how did this journey start for me? I mean, it started in 2016 where I got fired from my job. I was working as an assistant editor at a place that edited TV commercials. And it was my first big job in the industry. I was really lucky to have it. It was my first job out of school, working on these TV commercials in a really lowly kind of position, but still I was in the room. And I got fired, and I was like totally blindsided. I was kind of devastated, actually. And the first thing I did was try to find another job. So I kind of papered the town with resumes, and it's so competitive to get a job in the film industry. I was so lucky to get the first job that I just couldn't find another job. So I was living at home, I was living with my parents, you know, kind of a lucky situation in terms of not having a lot of expenses and things like that. I know not everyone's in that position. Definitely was lucky to have that. And also, I met this guy at the time who was my age, and he had his own business, and he was like, you should make videos for different businesses because you're good at making videos. That's what you've always done. And I have a company. I'll be your first client. You can make a video for my company. It was called #paid. And it's just like, that sounds pretty cool. So, I had to make a choice at that point. I knew I was going to do it, but I had to make a choice between, do I do this as a freelance person? Like, should I just be like a commercial producer guy, which is what I am still, basically, a freelance guy? Or should I start a company, be a company? And I decided to go the company route because I think, if you're a company, you're a lot more legit in people's minds. It's like, people want to work with companies. They'll trust companies with bigger projects. They'll give more money to companies than a person. They want to tell their boss, yeah, we hired a company to do this. They're going to take care of this for us, don't worry. So it's more legit. So I figured I might as well just become a company. So how do you become a company? It's kind of easy these days. It doesn't actually take a lot. So on paper at least. I came up with a name, Mini Fridge Media, and I spent a lot of time on the name. I definitely didn't want to rush that part. I asked a lot of people's opinions, thought of a lot of different options, didn't listen to everyone's opinions. Some people thought I should call it Osborne Productions, but I thought Mini Fridge Media was a good name. So I registered with the government. It cost like $60. I made sure I could get like the domain name, www, and all the social handles, @MiniFridgeMedia, got the logo, got a website template kind of thing, picked a color scheme, orange and yellow. And so, now something's happened. There's like a transformation happening. I'm not just some guy anymore, like some kid in a basement who has no experience and just got fired. It's like, now I got a company. I'm the president, actually. I'm the president of the company. Nice to meet you. I have my own company. So people started taking me a little more seriously. I took myself a little more seriously, actually. But here's an interesting thing. When I started the company, I actually had never made a commercial or corporate video before. I had made skits, as Dami was saying. I had made a lot of videos and short films in my life because that's what I've always wanted to do, and that's what I've always kind of done on my own. But I had never made a commercial. The first time I ever made a commercial was for a paying client, my first mini fridge client. They only paid for like the hard cost. I didn't get paid, but they paid for it to be made. So that's kind of interesting, right? It's like I started a company saying, this is what the company's going to do. Mini Fridge Media, we're going to make commercials and corporate videos. And yet, I had never actually done that. So it's kind of crazy. Here's what I knew at the beginning. I knew 30% of how to make a commercial. I had made videos my whole life, so I knew how a video was made. I had seen 100 million commercials in my life, as we all have. So I kind of figured I could maybe write one. And I was just working at a place that made commercials. So I kind of knew how it was done professionally. I kind of knew the process and what the jobs were. So, I had the 30%. I had 100% of the vision. That's the thing. So I only had 30% of the knowledge, but I had a vision for what I wanted the company to be. I knew I wanted to be a video production company where our videos were like way better than basically all the other corporate video companies at the time. I was like, we're gonna make an amazing product that people are really gonna like. It's gonna be totally different. They're gonna feel like TV commercials, but it's gonna be for like small businesses. So I had 100% of the vision, but only had 30% of the actual knowledge of how I was gonna pull it off. And I decided to just dive in and learn the other 70% as I go along. So, and there's a lot to learn. I mean, the 70%, there's a lot of stuff in there. So if you're gonna start a business with no money and do it by yourself, you have to kind of learn all the jobs of all the different people who you would have otherwise hired. If you had like a Series A or a C round or something, you have all this money, you can hire your team so you can just focus on providing the service. You actually have to learn how to do all those other people's jobs and be all those other people. So you have to be your own accountant, you have to be your own salesperson, you have to be your own website designer, you have to be your own marketing person, right? Until you can afford to hire those people, which I still can't, so I still do all those jobs. So it sounds intimidating because you have to do all these jobs and you also have to do the actual thing that you provide and you have to be the business owner. So it's like, you just signed up for like 20 jobs. So, but it sounds intimidating, but it's not, because if you have the 30%, you can figure out the other 70% in all these cases. So for instance, accounting. I'm not an accountant at all, but I knew when I started, I knew what accounting was. I knew it was, profit and loss, ins and outs. I had an idea of what accounting was. So I had the 30%. So I got QuickBooks. You can get any kind of accounting software, and you teach yourself how to use it. And that's the other 70%. You teach yourself how to use it to track expenses and create invoices. I'm not a website designer at all or developer, but I know a good website when I see one. I know what I like. So I went on Wix, or Squarespace in the beginning, these kind of website design companies that make it really easy. And I picked a template that I liked, and I made that template into my website. So that's the other 70%. If you can describe your product or service to people, even if you just describe it, if it's something people have heard of, I'm a lawyer, I make flip-flops. Like I've heard of flip-flops. So if you can describe it and tell how it's going to help people and say it's for sale, that's 30% of sales right there. And then the other 70% is just learning how to cold call. I did a lot of cold calling to build my business. So if you have 30% of the knowledge and you have a clear vision, you just dive in and you'll learn the other 70% as you go along, because you'll never start with 100%. That's just impossible. You can't start. You don't even know what you need to learn until you start doing it. Mm-hmm. So, final thing I want to just say about entrepreneurship. I think a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, what they really want, they want that like I did it moment. They want that like I made it. Like look around, wow, here I am, made it, an entrepreneur. It's crazy. Doing a speech. Wow, look at me. But what I found, at least for me, is that there's really no such thing as that I did it moment. I've never felt like that. I've never had that I did it moment. That was kind of disappointing for me. But I feel like if you guys know that there's no I did it moment, that might help, because you might be doing your own business. You're like, when am I going to feel like that? You never will. So there's no I did it moment, but what there is just a massive pile of work that just never ends, basically. There's basically two piles. So the in and out pile you used to have on the desk back in the day? You're just taking tasks from the in pile to the out pile all day, and the in pile just constantly refills itself. It never ends. So it's just this endless pile of work. But that's okay. So I'll give you an example. I got a friend who wants to quit her job and open up her own sandwich shop. And that's way harder than what I'm doing. You can't just come up with a name and a logo and a website and open a sandwich shop, okay? You actually have to open a shop. It's way harder. So she doesn't know how she's going to do it. I don't know how she's going to do it, but she's telling me that she wants to stop thinking about it and just do it. I just want to do it. So we were trying to figure out what that I did it moment would be. Would it be when you quit your job? No, because then you're just unemployed. Would it be when you get a license from the government to be able to sell food, you know? No, because then you still got to open the shop. Would it be when you open up the sandwich shop? That feels like it, right? I did it. I opened the shop. Well, no, because you still need to get customers, or else you haven't opened a shop. You've opened like a sandwich museum. And that wasn't your dream, to be the curator of the Sandwich Louvre. I mean, that's not what you got into this to do. Is it a year later when you've opened the shop? It's been a year. It's been you've survived. Customers have come in. You paid off some of your loan. You worked your ass off. It looks like you're going to survive another year. No, that's not it either, because that wasn't your dream. Your dream was to have a thriving, successful sandwich shop. But even if you get to the point where you have a thriving, successful, established shop, you won't feel like you did it, because in any business, always around the corner is this uncertainty of the customers could just stop coming in. And even if at any level of business, even if from the outside it looks super secure and successful, the person who's running it is worried that tomorrow all the customers are going to be like, forget this place. We're going to pick somewhere else to go. And it could just end like that. And that's kind of even if that doesn't seem true, or even if that isn't actually true, it always feels like it's true. So you never feel like you're secure. So you never feel like I did it. But there's no I did it moment. But the good news is there are plenty of great I'm doing it moments. And those moments feel amazing, you know? So get the license from the government, I'm doing it. Open up the shop, I'm doing it, right? Customers start coming in, I'm doing it. So do a speech at a big hotshot entrepreneurs conference, right? I'm doing it. Yeah. So while it may be intimidating for me to say that entrepreneurship is a big pile of work that never ends with risk and uncertainty around every corner, the I'm doing it moments feel so amazing, and they're so worthwhile and so encouraging that you'll barely even notice the massive, never-ending pile of work. So thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.